Every night I hope and pray a dream lover will come my way, a girl to hold in my arms and know the magic of her charms. 'Cause I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone.
The big idea of this play, I think, is how do you go about solving a conflict that has no resolution? And how do you go about living a life around other people that are stuck in these conflicts? Specifically with Eddie, he has this deep obsession with Catherine that began as just something very nurturing and fostering that any father would have towards a daughter, but with Eddie it became a matter of him having to preserve his masculinity and having to maintain his power within his household. And it's a very Italian tradition to have a patriarchy and a phallocentric lifestyle. And part of what makes Eddie garner this anxiety is that Catherine starts to break away from him just as a normal teenager would from a family. To more complicate things further, Rodolfo comes in and Marco comes in and just really gets Catherine to want to not be around Eddie's limitations anymore, and that's something that really irritates Eddie. I think that the issue with Eddie is that he can't reconcile being the man in charge and having that much power that he had for a long while before Rodolfo and Marco came into the picture. And everything he did with Catherine as a child, you know, he rose her, he paid for stenography lessons, is what he mentions in this scene, is stuff that he's really proud about. And it's something that he really takes into consideration when he feels betrayed by everyone. But in fact, he's the one that betrays everyone. And it's kind of what makes him get this anxiety that throbs throughout the entire scene and throughout the entire show, and eventually at the end he dies, and it just is something that kind of never finishes. And that might be Miller's way of saying that you can't always solve your issues even though they exist. Say that Eddie changed throughout the play would be a very bold statement, and I think that one of the greatest things about Eddie's character is that internally he changes very little, but what the audience sees is a great change, and that change is a surfacing of his fragility and his openness to emotion and his vulnerability as a older Italian, straight, white, lower middle class man. And living in Red Hook is something that definitely influences his character. Miller, in fact, wrote this play based off of a story very similar to what occurs into this play. And that's about betrayal. And betrayal is Eddie's coping mechanism with the issue he has around not being able to have Catherine and not feeling as accepted and not feeling as endorsed as that Manhattan lifestyle, as the rich white male lifestyle. And Catherine and Beatrice give him that sense of dominance and that sense of power that he needs as an Italian, and that he grew up with, and that he believes that he needs, and it's something that drives him throughout the play. You know, he always says, "I want my respect, what are you talking about?" He has this doubt that anything against himself is something that is not right, is something that is absurd. And in that way, the audience is almost called to respect Eddie and feel empathetic for what he has to say and what he has to do, because he's blinded by what he grew up in, and he's blinded by his inherent need to feel accepted and to feel in charge and to love Catherine. And essentially, what makes the play so great is that Eddie's love for Catherine was built off just a general love for one's own child, and a general, I raise you and therefore I feed you and therefore I show love to you. But as you start to see that child slip away, you want to reinforce your relationship. And for Eddie, it got too out of hand.